Before we start the show, just a word from our sponsor, Undeniable Press. For all your screen printing needs, located in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan. If you ever need any t-shirts or any other little promo accessories, posters, or whatnot printed up for you, go to Undeniable Press. They're located, once again, in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan, and you can reach them at facebook.com/undeniablepressdetroit. And those same guys who do Undeniable Press also have a clothing line called 20 by 20 Apparel. It's very much wrestling themed, all sorts of nostalgic themes in regards to the history of wrestling. And you can go check out their clothing line at 20x20apparel.com. That's the number 20x, the number 20apparel.com. Now let's start the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grindin' shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it them all. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. Until I'm running out of breath, or tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, 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 goddammit, we fresh.
Welcome to a super special bonus episode of Fresh is the Word. This is the Warp Tour episode. I went to the Warp Tour recently when it stopped here in Auburn Hills, Michigan at the Palace, and I talked to a bunch of great artists. So what I'm doing with this episode, I'm collecting most of the interviews that I did and just putting them all in one episode. There's a couple of them that I'm going to save for their own standalone episodes, but for the most part, we're going to go ahead and just give you all the content that I recorded during that day. I had a blast. Like, there's something very just comforting and very inclusive about the Warp Tour. You feel like you're at home there. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what sort of niche of the music scene you come from, what sort of niche in life you come through. Like, I had a blast. All the kids were having fun. So much good music. It was just an awesome vibe. This year, it wasn't 1,000,000 degrees. It was still hot outside, but it wasn't like 1,000,000 degrees like it was last year. So I had just a blast, and I had a blast talking with everybody. So that's just do a breakdown of who's going to be on the episode. Stacey Dee from Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Then we have Scott Lewis from Carnifex. Then I'm going to Chad Ginsburg and Jess Margera from CKY. And then we talk to Pustulus Maximus from Gwar. And then we talk to Frank Novinec from Hatebreed. And then on to Ansley, Newman, and Jake Roland from Jule, Vera. And then we talk to Tony Foresta from Municipal. And then we end this episode with Kevin and Tom from the Acacia strain. But before we get into the episode, let me just remind you how you can support the podcast. You can always go to freshasthepodcast.com and just share any links that you see on the website on any of your socials. That would be great. There's also a link at the top that says support the podcast with a PayPal link that you can donate to. There's also a Amazon link on that page. If you ever make any purchases on Amazon, just use that link and they'll shoot a little commission our way. It doesn't change anything on your end. It just helps out the podcast a bit. You can also follow Fresh is the Word on Twitter and Instagram at Fresh is the Word 1. That's Fresh is the Word, then the number 1. And then on Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. And then you can also subscribe or follow Fresh is the Word on all sorts of platforms like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, Google Play, and TuneIn. Just go to any of those platforms and type in Fresh is the Word, and it'll come up. Hit the subscribe button, the follow button, whatever it says on there. And feel free to leave any comments, 5-star ratings, whatever. That'll definitely help out the show. So let's get started with the special Warped Tour edition of Fresh is the Word with my interview with Stacey Dee from the band Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Introduce yourself.
My name's Stacey Dee. I play guitar and sing in Bad Cop, Bad Cop. I write songs.
Cool. Yeah, I think I caught the tail end of your the set earlier.
Cool.
I was kind of walking around.
Sure.
Super fun.
Thanks.
Yeah. How's Warped Tour been for you guys?
It's been awesome, man. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how hard it is. We kind of do all of our own stuff. Like, we've got some crew, but we load out, we load in. We're hard workers.
DIY also.
DIY. Well, I don't know else to do it. Like, I plug all my shit in on stage. You know what I mean? There's no coming out music. It's you know what I mean?
Right.
Entrance
you're not
music.
on that level yet.
I'm just what? You hear? Let's do it.
Let's do it. How's sort of been the communal sort of relationship between all the other bands?
Dude, I didn't. There's some people I knew already coming into this. I knew some guys in Municipal Waste. I knew Lou from Sick of It All. There's some people that I knew. Some of the guys, Steve Soto from Adolescence. So I was stoked that I was going to get to spend some time with those guys anyways. But then everybody on our stage is just such great friends. There's not one butthole of the bunch. There's not one shitty band. We're all fucking cool. I hope to know all of these people for the rest of my life. Come stay at my home, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
It's like summer camp.
Dude, it is. But you find all of the punk rockers have just bonded. You know what I mean? When there's events and barbecues, we are always together. If we're hanging out the back of the trailer or whatever, it's we just always find each other. There was a Kiss night. All of the rockers were we were the only ones up on the dance floor. It's all of us is rad. So the camaraderie has just been magnificent. I didn't know that it would be like this. I never went to camp as a kid, so.
Right. I feel like your band was one of those bands that when people are okay, who do you go see? Who are the recommendations? Who's a band that I might not, know that I should go check out? And a lot of times I was seeing your band. How's the energy been at your stage?
It's been amazing. We've been playing to a lot of new people that have stayed. Kevin has done a really cool thing where he's usually the Hard Rock stage and the Skull Candy stage would be right next to each other, and we'd switch off times, Yeah. But he's been putting us with one of the main stages and then with one of the Journey stages. So their fans of Attila played right before us today.
Yeah.
So maybe 10 people spilled over and watched us. You know what I mean? We had a really great crowd today, but not an Attila crowd.
Right.
But Kevin's rad for doing that. So some of these kids could be oh, I do like this band. What is this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And come check it out. So I really applaud that.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with Layla.
Yeah.
They were placed in that sort of where people are walking by sort of thing.
But you don't know how much that's going to affect somebody. I know my attention span, and when I'm walking past something, I'll be that's rad, and sit and maybe watch for 2 minutes.
Right.
And
that's
then
why
walk
I stopped
off.
Today, and
right.
I was just because I was busy doing a bunch of things, and I was just I had a little time, and I walked by, and I'm whoa, what's going on here?
Right? What is this? Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, this is great. This is awesome.
I mean, the feedback's been killer. Again, we're kind of we're not as big as some of the bands on this tour, so it's been growing. I don't know if there's Warped Tour message boards or something, but the attendance has been bigger and bigger. It seems at every show. So I'm pretty excited about it all.
Have you been on a tour like this before?
Never like this. We've toured for 2 months at a time, but being out here and doing it for 2 months is who am I? No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. But now that we're in the swing of it and we know when we can have personal time, and I take naps, and if I could get, there's nobody that's half stepping in my band. You know what I mean? Everybody works hard, but if there's a time where you're okay, I could go lay down for an hour, I'm gonna take it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep and rest.
Or sometimes they've got they'll attach, they won't attach, but we'll be at a venue that's attached to a theme park or a water park, so we get free entry into that with our badges.
Yeah.
One day we spent 7 hours after a real shitty morning, it was pouring on us, and I was up to flood water, up to my knees, my Doc Martens. everything was just so sad, and Jenny was crying, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, yeah, let's go. So after that happened and we got out of the flood, that we got to go spend 7 hours at the theme park and rode roller coasters with like Municipal Waste and Valiant Thor. Like we felt like the coolest chicks ever, you know? Like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where are you all from?
We're from Los Angeles. I mean, I'm from San Francisco. I live in Los Angeles, yeah.
How long has the band been a band?
7 years, going on 7 years.
Oh, 7
but we didn't go for it. You know what I mean? We were a band that was like constantly getting better all the time. But 2 years ago, we made a decision to go for it. And since we did and been on the same page, and like nothing's really like drugs and alcohol aren't really fucking with us, and partying isn't the thing we do.
Right.
So it's just taken off.
What sort of led to that, 2 years ago being like, all right, let's go, let's do this,
I got sober.
Okay.
Fat Wreck, I had a really huge bottoming out at the Fat Wreck 25-year anniversary tour. You know punk rock, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not like
Big
super
yeah.
deep in it, but there's stuff I remember. There's like I know that label.
Yeah, Fat Records is great. That's Fat Mike from NoFX's label, and he is a great friend and man and business owner, and I couldn't say enough good stuff about it. But I had a bottoming out on that tour. I was partying super duper hard, and I was also had a really gnarly drug addiction with Xanax from my doctor, and it was gnarly. Like
that
so,
shit is gnarly.
And I was sad. I was so sad and depressed, and said I had anxiety, and I cried all the time, and I was just sad person. So when I was put in detox by myself and had some really crazy nights alone in there, I was like literally on my fucking knees begging for mercy from like everything I'd ever done, anything that had ever been done to me.
Right.
Every time I opened my mouth even to say something bad about somebody was there going like, why would you do that? This is the way to live life and be a good person. It was like being slapped but also struck by lightning, because I feel like I got so many great life lessons like by myself. I mean, I had people around me to help me, but the work I had to do,
Yeah, it's when it comes to that stuff, you can have people around to support you, but it's still a one-person job.
Dude.
To really get through it.
So gnarly, and it's not like I ever wanted to do drugs again, and I smoke weed and I don't drink. I don't do anything anymore, but except for weed. But coming back was like the scariest thing I'd ever been through in my life. Like I felt like I was on an acid trip for months by myself. I was hearing things that weren't there, seeing things that weren't there. Right. It was sober. So I was like having night terrors and everything, and I just had to pick myself up and get help, and I did.
Right.
And in doing so, I came to my band, and we'd been a band 7 years, right? But I came to them and I said, look, guys, being in a band with 4 women is different, because there's a lot of, if you want to make it work, you really work. You can't have one person be a diva. You can't let one person's reigning attitude dictate the way that the rest of the band is going to do or go. We're 4 different people, 4 different women, but we are strong in different ways. So when we come together, it's awesome. Because when I came to them after I got well, I said, guys, I'm not interested in like being jealous of you anymore or being weird. Like I've been working my whole life to do this music thing, and I want your guys' success as much as my own. I can finally say that, like, without my ego getting in the fucking way. Like, I don't want if we are real and honest with each other, there's no reason for us to ever fight. There's no reason for us to ever talk shit. So it became about a very negative situation in band to an egocentric band to a very positive, working, equal, balanced, harmonious kind of situation. Now, sometimes we do still, what you're mad at me really because of, whatever, you know what I mean? Like that piece of licorice, who cares?
That shit happens.
That shit happens, but be able to work it out, and every day we're on stage, we do one of these, and we look at each other and say, I love you, and if somebody's mad at someone else, they'll be like, they won't look, and it's like, get over here and look at me, you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, our relationship is bigger than any of that bullshit, and we couldn't do this without the other people in the band. Like, it has to be us.
Right. I was never into any other sort of drugs or anything, but I did quit drinking last November.
Ooh, yeah, drinking's a big one.
Yeah, and once you like get some space from that, you realize all the emotions, all the feelings, all the
stuff
things
come
in
back.
your body
Yeah.
when your body starts to heal up and
Yeah.
go back to what it's supposed to
Oh,
be.
man.
The aches and pains of your body.
Yeah.
The emotions.
The emotions, man,
the
just
things that
on.
were numb,
Yeah.
before, they all just come rushing back.
Totally.
You get like maybe about 6 months into it.
Totally.
And you're like, dude.
It's like being on a whole new drug, isn't it? It's because like when
Right.
you drink for like your whole life, or you know what I mean, or even just occasionally or whatever, but it becomes a routine. Anything you do in a routine that you stop doing, it's like, oh, this is now a new routine. I don't know, but it's the feelings are huge.
Right, and you got to find a way of like dealing with those, because like, if anything, I'm more on edge now that I'm like completely sober.
Right.
And I got to like figure out a way of like,
How do I get through this?
how do I deal with
You
these
walk
emotions?
through. Yeah, you have to walk through the fire. Well, you know what I do is deep breathing, making sure I take time for myself,
Yeah.
getting enough rest, and drinking water.
Right.
I tell people on stage sometimes, like, this is a tough life, but take a deep breath, dude. Like, seriously, there's some magical shit in breathing. Like, you can get through anything.
Oh, yeah. Like, I do yoga and everything,
Yeah.
and all that, like...
You can
like,
get through anything. Women just breathe to give birth, you know? You can go through anything just breathing. I saw something on Vice where people were hiking up to, like, one of the big mountains where it's, I don't know mountains, I don't know hiking, but it was a big, where they were doing it in just their boxer shorts and underwear. And they were doing it by breathing. Like, and they could hike the whole fucking thing. What are some of the biggest mountains?
yeah, like Mount Everest.
That one, thank you, Mount Everest. So they were hiking Mount Everest naked, but getting through it by breathing. Pretty cool.
Right, like when I do yoga, like the yoga teacher will be saying in the middle of it, send the breath to any parts of your body that you feel tension in, you know.
Isn't it cool?
And you send the breath to there, you know. You don't know how, but
It
you
really
send
does.
the breath down to your knees or
Totally.
something, whatever. Yeah, so there's a lot of...
This world is such a weird place, and I don't believe that we've ever been taught the things that we could actually do.
Right.
What are the real things in life, you know what I mean?
There's all the stuff that people did, humans did, before civilized,
Societies,
industrial.
before people decided how things should go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like things that people did on a daily basis to survive.
Yeah.
That once society became a society,
And made things easy
They,
and
like-
comfortable.
they ignored, because they couldn't make money off of it.
Totally.
Or something or another.
Right, right.
Like it's like even right now I'm like contemplating, either doing vegetarian or vegan and
Sure.
stuff. And you think about it, like that's how people ate
Totally.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Sure.
Like, they ate stuff that came out of the ground.
Because they couldn't make a vegan patty, you know what I mean? They
Right.
couldn't make a chicken replacement. There was nothing like that.
Right.
And you need protein, so what the fuck are you gonna do? You gotta eat the animals. When I was getting, I was a really bad vegetarian, but almost vegan. So I barely ate.
Right.
And when I was getting sober, I had to go to therapy to figure out what the fuck was happening to me, because you said all these things come back, and I was like, what is happening to me?
What is-
Yeah, I really didn't know.
Right.
And she told me that I had to start eating meat, a little bit of meat again, to get the acids back built up in my brain, and I've just continued to do it. Not a lot. I maybe eat meat once a week at home, but like here on tour, my body fucking needs it. Like, I'm tired. I'm working my ass off, so I need to eat what my body tells me.
Right, I'm trying to find the balance where maybe I can still like a little bit of chicken in my
Every
diet
once
or
in a while,
something.
yeah.
But like I gotta cut out some of this other shit.
Yeah,
This-
the
this whole
pork,
pa-
man.
This whole past week, I feel like my body's been like exercising devils because I was eating so much bad shit that my
Oh,
body
man.
was reacting. I'm just like,
Yeah, man. Garbage in, garbage out, man.
yeah,
Really.
that's how I literally felt.
Oh,
Like,
trash
oh.
person.
So what's next with the band? What do you hope to accomplish coming up?
Well, I'm just gonna say, you put it out into the universe if you want it, right? I'd like, we're doing our headlining tour out to the Fest. Do you know Fest in Florida? It's a festival thing. We're gonna tour out with. We're doing something different though. There's this podcast called Lady to Lady, and they have like 3.5 million downloads over 200 shows, so they're doing pretty damn good. And they're out of Los Angeles, and we're gonna take them on tour, and we're gonna have them do their podcast in front of a live audience.
Oh, okay.
And then there are three of them, and they're gonna do like 20 minutes stand-up set each, and then a local either comedian or band, and then we'll play. So we're gonna do something different.
That's awesome.
Isn't it cool? I want to film it, because it's women just being raw and weird, comedians and musicians, like the two gnarliest kind of women you could get. Sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, just film it because it's gonna be like funny.
Right. Well, cool. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, man. Super nice to meet you.
Yeah. If anybody wants to find out more information about the band, where can they go online?
They could go to all of the social medias, the Facebooks.
Yeah.
I don't know words about this part. I think Facebook is Bad Cop, Bad Cop. I think that Twitter is at BCBC Music. I think Instagram is Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Something is Bad Cop Band. I think that might be our merch site. I'm not sure. Something. Or you could just find me on Facebook. My name's Stacey Dee, and you could write me a message, and I'll probably write you back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been great talking with you.
Nice to talk to you, too. Nice to meet you, bud. Have a good day.
So that was my interview with Stacey Dee from the band Bad Cop, Bad Cop. I really enjoyed talking with her. We definitely, talked about some real issues going on with her in the band, and I feel like I was able to connect with her really well. So let's get on to my next interview with Scott Lewis, the lead singer from the deathcore band Carnifex. I've the new album is really good, man. I've really enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of positive feedback online in regards this is the best Carnifex album that we put out. Going into making this album, what was sort of the mood of the band when you're figuring out what you wanted to do with it?
When we did Die Without Hope in 2014, that record had been received really positively as well. And on the retail side of things, it charted the highest and all the stuff that the labels like,
Yeah.
So it had the best first week, it's the fastest selling, all that stuff that makes them happy. And the fans really liked it too. We did a lot of great tours on that record. So going into Slow Death, we knew the expectation was going to be high because of how well received the previous album was. And I think we just really told ourselves, like, we can't make any exceptions here. Every aspect has to be 100%. We can't just, I guess, no filler, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we really made it a point to do that. We were pretty hard on ourselves, and we gave ourselves a long time to write. I think we took 28 months between the two records.
Okay.
Which is, in our scene, that's a little longer than most bands will do.
Right.
Maybe a lot longer,
Yeah.
But we needed it. We needed it to rewrite all those songs to get them to where we wanted to be. And we did that. So I think it was the amount of time we took, and I think it was knowing that the expectation was there.
Was there anything from the the previous record that maybe you wanted to do better on Slow Death?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think I liked a lot of Die Without Hope. We worked on that record for a long time, and it was sort of it was the first record for Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
First record since we took some time off. So we had to get it right, And then I think going into Slow Death, we learned a lot about what helps us write better, and we learned a lot about not just what the fans want, but what we're good at. You know what I mean? And I think too, Slow Death was great. That was our sixth record, and I think when you get to that point, record number 6, year number 12, you're kind of not really looking at anyone else.
Right.
You're just looking back at your catalog, trying to say, how can we do what we do better? And I think that was a good approach, rather than kind of trying to, not that we actively did it, but everybody compares themselves to someone else, right? Always. Yeah. So I think when you look at a band that's more successful than you. You're kind of going, well, what are they doing? Maybe we can put our spin on it, you know? And that's totally normal. Everybody does that. You just kind of want to see what people are responding to and do your take on it. But for us, all we did was just look back at our catalog and really go, you know, what do we do really well? What do we do that the fans really love? And what do we do that when we look back at those records that are 10 years old, say, I still like this aspect of it?
Yeah.
And then there's the stuff that you're like, ugh, if we were young, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we just, we took that approach with Slow Death, and we took our time, and we didn't compromise at all. You know, we really knew that we had to nail it.
When you look back to like the early years of the band, being in the band, you know, what really sticks out in your mind?
Oh man, what sticks out in my mind? Well, I guess how long we just ate shit for, honestly. You know, we didn't make any money for a long, long time. It was tough. You know, we didn't have an agent for a long time, and you know, we always toured in a van, still do. Still, we're in a van on this tour,
Right.
which I think there's about 2 other bands that could say that. You know, and I think it was kind of a trial by fire for us. You know, just trying to figure out how to combine being a musician with running a business, which is what it is. You know?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the industry will tell you that if you ever talk about money or ask for money or prioritize money, oh no, you should be happy to be here. And that's just such a myth predicated by the people making the money.
Yeah.
You know, it's always the people, the managers, the agents, the promoters. They're the ones that'll tell you not to worry about money.
Right.
While they make the bulk of it, right?
Right.
So I think it took us a while to find how to be musicians and artists, and then also run a business. You know, because we didn't know shit. We were just, 5 20-year-olds. What do we know? You know, so we had to figure it out. It's trial by fire for sure.
Was there a time that came when maybe an event, just a day, someone you met, something that you heard in your career when you realized, like, we're getting this shit right and this could be something that you could be doing for a long time?
Yeah, I to a degree, maybe not with that much confidence, but I think, once we got with Nuclear Blast and Die With a Hope got out there, released properly, promoted properly,
Yeah.
and we were able to get out on the road and promote it, I think it was kind of the first time I felt like we were doing something right, you know. So that's just, a couple years ago, I guess.
Right. When it comes to a band like Carnifex, that's, and there's, certain things that, certain labels that get tied to music like yours. There's a lot of bands adjacent to you guys that, they all sort of have the same sound, same formula. How do you guys, differentiate yourself from everyone else?
Well, I'd say we're one of the few that's left. I mean, if you look back at the bands that started in 2005, I don't know who's left. It's like us and Suicide Silence. They're all gone. And I mean, you have the second wave deathcore bands that started in like 08 and 09 and stuff like that, but we'd already been on the road for 3 years at that point. We'd already done 2 records at that point. So I think if you look at the originators of the genre, us and Despise Icon and Suicide Silence, I think there's barely any of us left, you know what I mean? So it was, for us, it was a lot of people trying to sound like our old shit all the time, which is cool. That's fine. We have people we looked up to for sure.
Right.
So I think, especially lately, I think what we're doing now, bringing in kind of the darker elements and more of a black metal influence, we started doing that in 2010.
Yeah.
And now look at all the new deathcore bands. It's all this black metal vibe, right? So it's cool though. It's nice. It's kind of interesting to be in a point where it's like you're the old guys now. And we've been a band for almost 13 years, so I guess we are the old guys.
Why do you think you guys are, a part of this handful of bands that are still around after all these years?
I think a lot of times when people start bands, maybe they are starting a style of music that they don't really like, but they know they can kind of get some traction with it. Yeah. Where for us, there was no preconceived notion of we're going to start a band and we're going to go on tour. When when Carnifex started, I had actually given up on bands, really. I'd done a ton of bands through high school and immediately following high school and tried really hard to get them off the ground. They never went anywhere. And so I hadn't been doing bands for probably a good 2 years, and it just been working, and really didn't give it a thought, figured, hey, it is what it is, so well. And then, by chance, I ended up meeting Sean, who I started the band with, our drummer. And there was no preconceived notion at all. It was just cool to meet someone else that played music. You know what I mean? Because I kind of lost touch with a lot of musicians.
Yeah. And
so when we started writing heavy music, that was what we were into. We weren't even plugged into a scene. You know what I mean? We were just he was a roommate of a friend of mine. That's how I met him. It wasn't through another band, or I knew him from another band or anything like that. So we honestly just wanted to write music that we had fun time playing house parties.
Right.
So I think a lot of bands, and you see it on this tour, and you see it in general, is they kind of aren't really in love with the kind of music that they sort of got known for. And so if there's that lack of enthusiasm there, it's hard to get through the bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
You gotta really love what you do, because there's no money here, and it's a hard grind. We're on the road like 9 months out of the year.
Right.
And we've been on the road like that for 11 years. My entire 20s were gone to touring. I started a band when I was 21, I'm 32.
Right.
On tour the entire time, so a lot of people move on with their lives, and you get pretty much forgotten by everybody back home. So you really have to want to be out here for what you're playing, and if you don't really like the music you're playing, it's easy to give up.
Right now, on this year's Warped Tour is, there's a lot more heavier bands than previous years. How's it feel to kind of be a part of, with some of these other bands that are on tour, the Hatebreeds, the Gwars?
Feels great.
There's a lot of heavy bands on there.
I think it feels great. I mean, I kind of think the monster stages are sort of saving the tour. Honestly, I think people are really coming out for the heavy bands.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to anyone on the tour, but I think there's a conception of what a Warped Tour band is.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody knows that. You say that. What kind of music are they? Oh, they're a Warped Tour band. And you kind of have an idea of what kind of, a little bit of screaming, a little bit of singing.
Or something really poppy.
A bunch of good-looking guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody knows it's Warped Tour bands, right? And then I think when you look at the metal scene, we kind of are unsung to a degree. I mean, people really come out, and they come out for years and years and years. They're not fair weather fans, and they'll drive 2 hours, 3 hours. They don't care. And I think having those people supporting this tour is really making a difference. I think, because I think it's easy for Warped Tour bands to sort of be hot one minute and not the next. And I think having the metal bands on there is really making a difference, because those fans come out year after year after year.
Yeah, I remember last year, Chelsea Grin was on Warped Tour last year, and they played early in the day. They were on at 1 o'clock or something. Yeah. And there was this crowd there chanting Chelsea Grin, Chelsea Grin, before they even. I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I caught you guys earlier, last couple songs, and they were out there, man.
Yeah,
people were out there.
The metal crowd, they don't get the credit they deserve. It's easy to laugh at metalheads because we're sweaty and we're shitty and we play bars. We're old. But hey, those people come out and they support their bands.
Right.
I think it's evidence of how many people are watching the heavy bands.
Right. All right, man. It's been good talking with you. Good luck on the rest of the tour.
Right on. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was my interview with Scott Lewis, the lead singer of the deathcore band Carnifex. Their new album, Slow Death, is out right now, and it's pretty awesome. So next up on the list is Chad and Jess from the band CKY. I was super geeked to do this interview. So let's get into it.
I'm Jess. I'm Chad.
Cool. How's Warped Tour been?
It's been awesome.
Love Warped Tour, man. It's a super cool, unique tour. You get to meet a bunch of bands you might never even have heard or seen before, or maybe you never got the chance to see before. Old people, new people, a lot of new friends, and just teaches you to, open your heart and your mind and your ears to new things, and you get to travel around like a big rock and roll punk rock summer camp.
Do you ever get, like, when you do these festivals, like a Warped Tour, do you ever get anybody being like, I'm there to see CKY, and you're like thinking, well, there's all these other bands, thank you, but there's these other bands that you can, like, sort of discover, you know? What do you say to people
I think especially this year I've heard a lot of that because there's, you know, bands like us and Gwar, and
we're excited to see you back.
Yeah, and you know, our fans and Gwar fans might not necessarily have come to the Warped Tour, you know, in the years past, but, you know, now that they're bringing out bands that have been around for a while, you know, what's going on?
Cool. You know, it's you guys got a new album out, first one in 8 years. Darren's no longer with the band. You know, what were you guys thinking about when, you know, why now? Why did you come back now with a new album after 8 years? And what were you guys thinking about when, you know, starting to write new music?
We've been working on new music for quite a while, actually, with a guy named Daniel Davies who sang in the band. We toured with Daniel and did some one-off festivals, and Soundwave Festival, which is kind of a short-run version of Warped Tour over in the UK, or Australia, run by a different promoter, of course. But it's a traveling festival with a bunch of the same bands. We did that with a singer named Daniel Davies, who's a very talented dude, son of Dave Davies of the Kinks, stepson of a guy named John Carpenter, who soundtracked, directed, and wrote a lot of classic horror movies.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And sci-fi culture movies. And Daniel and us wrote a bunch of great music together, and Daniel came to a point where he had to make a choice whether to go and perform with John Carpenter, who's decided to start touring. He got that opportunity, and Daniel took that, and he's been touring around with that ever since. And we love Daniel, so we stayed cool with Daniel. And Daniel was just like, "Hey, man, you know, do you feel like singing?" You know, I was like, "No," and he's like, "Well, can you?" And I was like, "All right." So, I mean, that's kind of how, you know, I made a solo record in some off time, and you know, it was easy enough. I mean, I sang a bunch of CKY songs in the past too, and been writing songs, so it went smooth, and I'm having a blast with it, man. Things are going great.
How does this time right now feel different than the previous albums, you know, back in the day?
I think we appreciate doing this a lot more than we might have in the past. You know, when you're younger and you kind of have a little ego thing going on, and you feel like you deserve it, and you know, you realize that you're lucky to be able to do it for a living. So I think we don't take that for granted at all now, you know.
Right. Back in the day, the Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild album was such a monster album for me. I loved that so much when it came out. And that was also at the height of you guys being a part of the videos, CKY videos, and the whole Viva La Bam, MTV stuff. You know, when you kind of look back at that album, you know, what sticks out in your mind about, you know, writing that album, making that album, and everything that came because of it?
I don't know. Did you feel like that was like, when it came out, like, holy shit?
I thought that was a perfect album, actually. When we were making it, I knew everything was perfect. We were in Hawaii making that record.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, we were in heaven making that record, and the record was a perfect album. Things lined up perfectly. It was a perfect storm at that point for us.
Yeah.
Those years that leading up to that IDR, and then the few years following IDR were probably the height of the band's success at that time. I feel like we're more busy now than we ever were, but at the time, man, I mean, that was everything. That was making it big, man, and we weren't even that popular, but we were out opening for Guns N' Roses all of a sudden, and we had a very unique record that really didn't fit in with anybody, and we got there on our own terms. So we were, you know, riding high, and we were proud of what we were doing, and we weren't sure how we did it, but we thought we knew how we did it.
What are the things that you were thinking that made you think that you thought that you're...
We thought that just having, you know, paying no mind to anyone else and just being very unique to ourselves and kind of maybe being dickheads, you know, just avoiding the pack, paying no attention to anybody, and purposely not making friends, and purposely not listening to other people's music, and saying no a whole lot, and saying we're right, you're wrong a whole lot, whether we knew it or not. I mean, sometimes we were right. Probably most of the time we weren't. But luck aligned, it was basically a luck game, and we pressed ours a whole lot until there was no more luck to press.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you mentioned that you seem more busy now than in the past. Why is that? Is it just the difference in the music industry these days, or why do you feel more busy these days?
I think we're working extra hard to rebuild our brand, because we took a pretty good hiatus there for a while. And it was definitely great to see that we booked a UK tour, and we had no idea how it would go. It's been 8-9 years since we played there. So
the unit today, what Jess and I think about today is positive, is going in the right direction. There's nothing deterring that at this point.
Yeah. We already kind of been through everything. We know exactly what we're doing now. We know what we are, we know what we aren't. And
even people we used to work with in the industry, be it managers or labels, right? We've changed who we've associated with over the years. We've learned a whole lot of lessons.
We've repaired a lot of damaged relationships as well.
When you guys announced that you have a new album, people are excited. People are excited about seeing you guys on this tour. How did that feel when you seeing this excitement from all these people? When you hadn't put out an album in 8 years.
Yeah, we didn't expect it. It started out with just trying to book a little tour and do a little album. We weren't really sure what was going to come of it. We didn't know if we were going to sell it on fucking Instagram. And then as the tours got booked, we booked a small Canadian tour, and then before you knew it, we booked a UK tour, which all the venues had to be upgraded really quick, and shows were selling out in 2 minutes. And that was
add a second London show and stuff. That kind of stuff's cool to see after 20 years.
That was pretty mind-blowing, because we really didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And the UK really pulled through for us and proved to a lot of people what we were hoping remained to be true.
One of the cooler things was a lot of the people that we talked to after the shows would be like, I was too young to get in the last time you guys played here. I'm glad you came back, because I thought I would never see you.
I waited 12 years. I waited 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, man, it's been great talking with you guys. Good luck on the rest of the tour. Good luck with the new album. Good luck with the set tonight.
Right on, thanks.
All right, man, good.
Much appreciated.
So that was my interview with Chad Ginsburg and Jess Margera from the band CKY. It was a joy to talk with those guys. Glad that they're back in the fold, back in the music, back with new music. They were my shit at one time. I loved CKY. Glad to see them live at Warped Tour. They slayed. And it was so awesome to talk with them. So next up is a really fun interview. It's with Pustulus Maximus from the band Gwar. Just a heads up, this shit gets weird, and I roll with the punches with them. And we actually get I started out with Pustulus Maximus, and then other members start to join in with the conversation later on. So this was definitely a fun one. So let's talk with Pustulus Maximus from the band Gwar. Introduce yourself.
This is Pustulus Maximus, the new face of Gwar.
The new face of Gwar. What happened? Why are you the new face?
Well, because I lie and I'm deceptive, and that helps me garner attention for myself. The other guys would be here, but I always tell them press is like 2 hours later than now, so I can just hog all the attention for myself. Just like Odorous Urungus would do.
Oh, why are you trying to hate on the other members?
Oh, well, because I'm just the greatest. That's why.
Oh, all right. I guess. But you guys have a new album coming out a couple months. Dude, what can we expect from that? There's a lot of crazy shit going on in the country, in the world going on. And I know you guys always go after that type of shit, What can we expect from this new album?
Well, Gwar has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in daily lives all the time. And the new record, the Blood of Gods that's coming out October 20th will encapsulate all the trials and tribulations that Gwar has endured over the last 5 to 6 years. And it tells our tale. It tells about the war on Gwar, that humanity revolted against us. It tells, talks about how we sold out. I don't know you guys know this, but we even sold out to a fast food restaurant. We got we do jingles now. We're totally rich.
That's right.
Totally rich, filthy rich. I have hundreds of dollars.
At last.
Wait, who just joined us?
This is the Berserker Blothar.
Yeah, he was trying to hog up all the glory.
No, he's not trying to do that. He just, it just happens. He attracts glory.
He must have followed my scent here.
He tried to lose me by moving through a creek, but I found him.
There's always, Gwar has always been this sense of satire. You guys are a very unique entity in music. Why do you feel like it's so important to just tackle all these crazy issues going on in the world and flip them upside down and, be controversial with them?
It's like perspective, we're overlords that are intergalactic. We're from outer space. We're not really tied to anything that's happening here on Earth. So when somebody passes away unexpectedly or blows a building up or flies a plane into a building, we really aren't that concerned. So we can just make light of the situation because it doesn't affect us. We don't care. We want humanity to fail.
The funny thing is that shit that you guys have been touching upon for, the 30 years you guys have been a band. Like now with this Trump presidency and all the fucked up shit that's going on with our government, like other people are starting to get on board. Do you ever feel like a sense of legitimacy now, like validation that like there's other people that are sort of like, they might not be Gwar fans or agree with what you're saying, but they're voicing their opinions about shit now?
Well, it's interesting because that's actually another theme on the album is that, yes, humanity has reached a point where it's so absurd and it's so backwards and twisted and upside down that Gwar suddenly makes perfect sense. Right. Whereas before we were on the outside. Indeed, our greatest challenge is to continually come up with ways to, we can't do anything to humanity that they're not doing to themselves. And, so that's a problem. Like, people have clearly lost their minds. And what used to be satire seems to have become normal, everyday reality. It's absolutely correct.
Throughout the history of Gwar, there's always been a lot of lineup changes and whatnot. Do these new people that come into this universe, do they just, continue on with whatever character that already exists, or do you ever just make up a new character for something that's like going on in the world or something that's needed in the band at that time?
We don't make anything up. People just show up.
Yeah, it's
to
real.
hog the stage.
That's true. You're taking the wrong perspective on this.
Oh.
We actually, a Sleazy P. Martini is a real human being. I'm a real monster from outer space.
Oh, okay.
Pustulus is a real monster from outer space. I mean, it's true that, but yes, the cast of characters that regularly fucks with Gwar evolves as time goes on. And of course, right, like as Pustulus mentioned, on the new record and lately we've been fucking around with a fast food mascot who's we'll introduce with the record. And we have sold our souls, like he said. We made a pop song, a pop big hit record. We're already getting money from it, even though it's not out yet. I don't even know how that happens. But, of course, the cast of characters evolves according to what's happening in the world.
What do these people that just hang around in your universe have to do to stay around?
Usually just give us attention or drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Buy us dinner at Mama Zoo, those kind of things. For some reason, we allow too many people to hang around.
It's true.
I think we need to thin the herd. I would love to have a Gwar show where Gwar doesn't get fucked with. You know, because I'm just trying to play a rock and roll show, and all these guys come on. Even the president of the United States came on stage last night. We made quick work of him. You know, I don't know what he's so interested in our show for, but we cut his guts out.
We have a pathological inability to fire people. That's really why there's so many people hanging around.
How do you guys live? How do you guys sustain? You know, if you're monsters or whatever, you know, what do you eat? You know, what do you like? What breathes lives into you guys?
McDonald's, exclusively, almost.
Do they give you a check for that?
No, I wish. I wish they'd give me one of those like free Big Mac tickets or something.
Lifetime Big Mac.
Give me the winning McDonald's Monopoly fucking fry thing or whatever it is.
You have no money. I've bought truckloads of fries trying to get that thing. I've never gotten it.
How do we just eat garbage, garbage all day? If you haven't told by our appearance, it's hard to keep up this kind of strength and power.
Right.
You know, especially when no one's there to cook for you. So we just eat prepackaged crap all the time.
That's right. I came from the dumpster right now. I left beefcake. He's eating out of the dumpster.
Is that food unhealthy for you guys as it is for us humans?
No. We can process all that shit. I mean, he has 6 stomachs, so.
Yeah, that's right. It's health food for us.
Well, what do all the 6 stomachs do?
What all 6 stomachs do, you know, one stomach eats something, then it passes a little bit more to, gradually each stomach digests this massive mound of fucking fecal matter that I've eaten for that day. And then it comes out, it goes in poop, and it comes out food. That's the weirdest thing. I shit food. It's backwards.
So one of those stomachs is full of chewing gum. What your parents told you is correct. It never leaves your body.
What do you do
I'm
with
down
that?
to 5.
What do you do with all that food you shit out?
Well, beefcake eats it usually.
Yeah, barbecue food.
Yeah, that's
barbecue burgers.
We serve it at the Gwar bar.
Oh, is that the food that is sold at the bar?
We put it in a priority mail flat rate shipping box. Send it right back to the Gwar bar.
Flat rate.
You got to be thrifty in these tough economic times. In Trump's America, you got to be thrifty.
Right. How do you guys okay? Right now, you guys were originally guys like putting Trump's head into shit, like the Kathy Griffin thing, and didn't they bring you guys up like during the press conference? Like
they actually brought up 2 Richmond bands, Municipal Waste and Gwar, for being violent towards the president. And I think he warrants that kind of violence.
He does. Yes.
I
mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, people have no problem with inciting violence against another person, but make a joke about suicide and the whole world wants to get up your ass.
Well, I want to get up your ass.
Ooh. That sounds kinky.
It's not kinky, it's just normal. What's kinky about that? Anal is just on the menu these days. Haven't you been paying attention?
I saw. I went out to the merch booth out here at the Warp Tour, and I saw that there's a Gwar comic book. What's going on with that? What's the story going on in there?
Well, the story right there is quite simple. Since Gwar is always, like I said earlier, we've got our finger on the pulse of what's happening in America today, and this comic book is just a reaction to the way the world's headed. I know they kind of faded away, but since Betsy DeVos is in control of the education system, we got to make sure we start dumbing down our literature, because I don't think people are going to be able to read in about 10, 15 years. So that's why we're making the picture books. It's just an easy transition. Now we have word bubbles and thought bubbles on all the characters. Pretty soon it's just going to be, just all pictures, hieroglyphs and shit like that. Emojis. We'll speak with emojis exclusively.
Right.
On probably the next few issues.
Right. Maybe you can find a way of doing a whole album where you just do emojis. Won't even have any music.
Emoji music?
Emoji music.
Oh, we've already,
It's dangerously close to emo.
Yeah. Wait, is there a Gwar emoji yet?
I don't know. There should be.
There's a Blothar emoji. I don't know who's made it, but I've seen it.
But you need to get on that. Okay, right now while you guys are on the Warp Tour, how's that been? How's it been? Going to all these cities with all these different bands.
It's been depressing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, imagine a whole festival of nothing to watch but Gwar. It's just all padding. It's all fluff.
Now that the barber left, there's no reason for us to be here. There used to be a barber on the tour. I just sit and watch him cut hair all day. Now there's nothing to watch.
So yeah,
You just sit and watch. Like you wouldn't? Would you get your hair cut, or do you have hair?
Yes, of course I have hair.
This tour is definitely hard on these younger bands because I see all these little fellows running around in their sisters' clothes and they can't even afford socks.
Yeah.
Times must be tough for everybody.
That's right.
I mean, but it's seasoned vets, of
Capri
this music.
pants and penny loafers. It's not for everybody.
With no socks.
But as seasoned vets in this music industry, what would you tell these young bands, what to do? What?
Quit.
Yes, stop immediately. Kill yourself and your parents, and then burn your instruments in that order.
Yeah. You really should just stop. I mean, I'm just praying for the music industry to collapse. I've been fighting for it for a long, long time now because the only people that are going to be left are people that want to create music, not people that want to be rock stars, which I see a lot of people working out. That's devoting a lot of time to vanity. Me, I just do 12-ounce curls,
12-ounce girls? Where do you find those?
It's like curls.
Catering.
Oh. 12-ounce girl. That sounds great. I love a spinner.
Well. It's been great talking with you guys. You guys need to go get back to your intergalactic activities of being Gwar and the awesomeness with that. If anybody wants to join the Gwar universe and be a part of the Gwar universe and bug you guys on a regular basis, or just find your stuff online wherever they go. Do you guys even have a website? Is that even a thing in your universe?
Yeah. Management says we have to have a Facebook, so we do that. And
we have a website.
They take all the content down though. Apparently, Facebook's not cool with dick pics. That's all we send each other. Is pictures of our own dicks even though we're sitting across from each other staring at them.
For the longest time, we thought our media manager's his name was Dick Pick. But, turns out we were wrong.
Yeah, web hosting is confusing.
Yeah, it is. It's.
Don't you know who I am? I'm a webmaster.
Oh. All right then.
It's not a calling card of authority, is it?
No. All right, man. It's been good talking with you guys. Good luck on everything, and continue to destroy things.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that was my interview with Pustulus Maximus from Gwar. Wasn't that shit crazy? Man, I was trying not to laugh the whole time, man, but they had me rolling, man. But I rolled with the punches. I feel like I did a good job with rolling with the punches. Speaking with them. Oh man, their set at Warped Tour was so much fun. I actually got sprayed with the blood, man. I was trying to take photos up front of the stage, and I got sprayed with the blood. But whatever they use, man, it basically just disappears after a while. So that shit was cool. Next up, Frank Novinec of the band Hatebreed. We get into a lot of things about how he originally joined the band after many years of being in other bands. So it was great to talk with him. So let's get into my interview with Frank Novinec of the band Hatebreed. How's the Warped Tour been?
Pretty hot.
Yeah.
Seem to catch a break from that. But no, it's fun. It's different for us, We were more molded as an Ozfest or a Mayhem Fest, but Hatebreed did the Warped Tour, I think, 18 or 19 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was like 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, 98, 99, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's good to be back and something different for us, you know. I mean, we're usually in Europe this time, so, and we will be going back there as soon as this ends, and we came right from there. But it's been good. We have some friends out here, so it's just, you know, we're trucking along here. We're more than halfway over, and yeah.
You've been, how long have you been with the band?
Since 06.
Since 06? Okay. All right. You know, with the, the Warped Tour, all the different sorts of bands that are on this tour, how do you feel like you guys fit in? What's sort of camaraderie like with the other bands on the tour?
I kind of feel like they went a little heavier this year with the lineup. So I feel like without comparing ourselves to the other bands, to have us and Gwar, Municipal Waste, and like in the Mures or the Acacia strains out here, Sick of It All, I think those are a good mix of what Hatebreed does, as far as heavy music's concerned, as far as the hardcore roots are concerned. So, I think the good thing about it for us is there's a lot of young kids that know the name.
Yeah.
Whether they see these young bands that they're coming to see wearing our shirts or hear them talking about us, or they're just curious. So, when Jamie asks how many people are checking us out for the first time every day, it's almost half the crowd, which blows my mind, 22 years in the game, But that's 100% of why we're out here doing this. So, I think it's always best for a band to keep themselves current, especially when you've been doing it for as long as we have. So, I think the gist of it is that it's a nice blend of different kinds of music, and we fit in there just fine.
Right. How do you, I listen to Jamie's podcast religiously now, and he's like the type of person that always tries to figure shit out, with all of his guests, how, we can all make this better, Like, how do you guys stay relevant but at the same time not like getting bogged down by like what's cool, what's trendy or whatever? How do you guys be yourself in all this?
I mean, really, you just answered the question yourself. I mean, we just have to be yourselves. Fortunately, the band was around and popular before the downloading of CDs and the internet really hit hard.
Right.
So I think that, we kind of missed that bump in the road. And also just learning from other bands' mistakes, watching what people have tried to do, and not be content with where they're at. We're content with being Hatebreed and being able to tour all over the world still and have a fan base and still being a brand, like a household name. Obviously, Jamie's very hands-on with everything, and he's, got his he's got all his things going on with the managing and the other bands that he does and the clothing line and the podcast and, everything. So he's in the mix.
Right.
But I think it's important for a band like us to stay universal, to play with different kinds of bands, expose ourselves to every kind of crowd, and never go away. I think if you do that, you're done, and I think that Warped Tour is a way for us to breathe some fresh air into the balloon. And especially since the record's been out almost, going on a year and a half. So that's really it. I think that's a good formula for us anyhow, 22, 23 years in.
Right. Is there any time when you're trying to just go to like another crowd, or you say you okay to do like a festival or show and it just doesn't work out? Like it just seems like the crowd really isn't feeling you guys?
I mean, we go and do tours and shows with bands that are not like us. I mean, we went to the UK and opened for Volbeat, and they're huge over there, and we're just a little bit different than them, a lot different than them in some people's eyes. But you have to go out there and make everybody feel welcome.
Right.
You can't go out there with an attitude, especially if you're the opening act and you're trying to gain fans. I think you have to make everybody feel welcome, make everybody feel like they're there to have a good time, make sure they have a smile on their face, and that's really all you can do. Go out there and put the show on that you normally do. I mean, the Hatebreed set's usually pretty high energy, so I think that there's only so much that we can do. You can't make everybody enjoy it, but at the same time, you have to go out there and conquer and do all the right things and create a positive vibe in there, especially when you're on a tour where people are just pretty much there to see the headliner.
Right. What were you doing before you joined this band?
I was in a band called Terror for a couple of years.
Okay, Terror.
Before that, I was playing in Ringworm and Integrity, which are bands that I formed when I was in high school.
Okay, yeah.
Who have all been successful bands and are all still going.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this music stuff since the late 80s.
Right.
Before these guys were, and that's how I know them.
Right.
Because they used to sleep on my floor when they didn't even have a trailer. I'd wake up in the morning, they'd all be on my floor. This is before the Grammy nomination and the Universal Records and the millions, couple million albums sold. So we go way back. That's how I kind of weaseled my way into the band. So.
Yeah, looking back at those times when you first saw this band Hatebreed, working with their sleeping on your floor or whatever, and what's the fondest memories of that time, and looking back now that you're a part of the band and you've been part of the band for a decade now.
Well, I mean, we did a lot of crazy partying and stuff back then. It's funny, when I was in Integrity, they reached out to us and we were like, who are these kids from Connecticut? Hatebreed. They keep bothering us. They want to do a split record with us. And then we did. We did a split record with it's funny, because if you look on the back of that old Integrity and Hatebreed stuff, and the picture for Integrity is me and I'm jumping with my guitar, and the picture with Hatebreed is Jamie. And fast forward to however many years later, and now I've been in both bands. But, I mean, there was a lot of fun being had back then. And that's really what this was all about. I mean, the hardcore scene is a very, when you come from the basements of America, it's a very close network.
Yeah. And
these are our friends, and we know all the bands, and we dug in the trenches and built this thing. But the scene, I mean, not just Hatebreed, but a lot of good times and stuff. But as the band gets popular, it becomes more of a business, and you just try to, at this point, still remain friends and not let that get in the way. And everybody's pretty chill. So you make it work, We still laugh and have a good time. We still text each other the stupidest stuff every day. Group text, just the five of us are the dumbest things,
What was it about those guys, back in the day when you first met them, that when you were like, who are these guys always, hitting me up or whatever? What was it about them that you finally were like, all right, we can hang out or whatever, you can sleep on my couch or whatever?
Well, I mean, I always was very untraditional when it comes to hardcore music. With Ringworm, in Integrity, we were pretty much anti-scene persons. We didn't join the bands so we could be friends with people and be part of this little scene. We were into different stuff, death metal and punk rock and stuff. Yeah. But then when we found the hardcore scene, it's we wanted to bring those elements to it. What Hatebreed was doing at that time was mixing Bolt Thrower and the Cro-Mags, and they would come through town with Sepultura, and Boulder would be playing an Explorer, and he'd have leather pants on. It just was so not hardcore at all, But it was when they played, you know what I mean? The music was undeniable. So I was like, these dudes are cool, man. I really get it. They're not just focused on one thing. They're kind of even though they're bringing all these different spectrums to what they do, it works. Right. And that was what we were doing with Ringworm at the time, crossing more of an angel with Youth of Today and Warzone. But so I kind of really gravitated toward these dudes and was like, all right, these guys listen to Johnny Cash, and we drink whiskey all night, but then we'll go watch Agnostic Front, all this stuff. It wasn't just straight hardcore scene stuff, which a lot of people at that time were, especially. So it was cool, and it just all goes back to saying about how Hatebreed's a universal band like that, and we're able to do a Ozfest and Warped Tour and Mayhem Fest and all these different kinds of festivals and play with all these different bands all the time and tour with all these different bands. There's always preach unity with underground music in general.
Right.
You shouldn't divide. There's not enough of us to divide,
When you look back to those early years when you were a part of your previous bands like Terror, being a part of Ringworm, what really sticks out in your mind about those times, when you were just, new to all this music stuff?
The first time we went to Europe was 1995, and Ringworm had gotten back together, and we were opening for Integrity, so I was playing 2 sets back to back.
Oh, okay.
And it was just, remember how crazy it was going over there and being in a club in Germany was the first show. I'll never forget that. And James, who sings for Ringworm, who is one of my best friends in the world, if not my best friend since we were little kids.
Yeah.
hearing people speak in a different language and just being there for our show and just looking at him thinking like it was like we might as well have been on Mars. We were so far from home. We were young kids. We just, you know what I mean? I'll never forget that experience. And just all
How old
those,
were you guys then?
Oh man, we were in the early 20s. You
Yeah.
know? So to go to Europe and go fly away from home for the first time, leave America and just experience that whole thing. I mean, I'll never forget that. You know, just being green to all the stuff that's out there, not knowing anything, you know, not knowing what's up, just touring around in a van and just, you know, goofing off or whatever, really. I mean, that's what I remember most, but it still was always fun because it was always friends. I mean, you can't make it, anybody can play the music. You have to be involved with people that, you know, you're going to get along with. So.
Right. When you were, you know, about to join Hatebreed, you know, how did those talks happen between you and the band? You know, what were you guys saying to each other to the point where like, hey, join the band?
Well, at that point, I was really unhappy with my situation at Terror. It just was one of those things where I shouldn't have never mixed business and friendship, and not for nothing. I had a lot of issues, personal issues myself. You know, I missed a tour with them because I had a passport issue and they had to go over as a 4-piece. I mean, looking back on that, that's just totally unprofessional. But coming from Ringworm, where it was nothing but a party, it wasn't a full-time band, and joining Terror, I think Terror really prepared me to realize that I needed to really get my stuff together to, if I wanted to do this for a living. And even though I was only in Terror for, I think, less than 2 years, I'm glad that they were able to continue on and be more successful after the train wreck that is me that was in the band. So, but at the end, you know, my last few months of Terror, like I just wasn't happy at all. And then I was always friends with Hatebreed, talking to these guys on the phone every day, Sean and Jamie, and they were always like, we're going to get you in this band one day. For years they would say this because whenever these other bands would tour, they, you know, Hatebreed would take Terror on tour, Ringworm on tour. They're like, you're riding with us the whole tour. Your band won't care. It's more room in the hotel and the van for them. I'm like, all right. I mean, we're that close.
Yeah.
So when they wanted to become a 5-piece again, because they'd been a 4-piece for years, they just called me. There were no auditions or nothing. They're like, are you ready to be in the band? We've been talking about it long enough. I'm like, yes, because I was ready to go back to regular work, which was the tire industry that I worked in for 11 years before I left to join Terror. And I was ready to go back to that. That's how unhappy I was at Terror. And that was it. I just left Terror. I played a show with them. And I was like, I'm quitting the band right then and there. And that was it.
How long did it take to like sort of get your shit together and you started feeling happy about all this?
Well, it was real quick because I just was like, again, I was unhappy with the situation at Terror, and these guys are my friends. I felt real comfortable. I feel like a better fit in Hatebreed, and I think anybody that's followed my career will tell you that I'm a much better fit in Hatebreed than I was in Terror. And Terror's been a revolving door of people, except for the recent years where they've had a solid lineup, and they've really turned into a monster.
Yeah.
You know, they've really went and became that band that they needed to be, and they do well all over the world, and I'm really happy for Scott because he's one of my best friends in the world, and that's the whole reason I joined the band in the first place. So to see what that band's become is awesome. But as far as me joining the band goes, it's like I think the second show I played with Hatebreed was with Korn in front of 16,000 people. So I had to really take it up a notch,
right,
really quick. So, I mean, it wasn't that I didn't have my things together. It's just that, you know, you're really taking it to the next level when you're joining a band like Hatebreed, especially at that time in their career.
Right.
And we were doing really big shows. I mean, we were main stage of Ozfest, playing the amphitheaters every day, you know, to 20,000 people right when I joined the band. So, you know.
How much time was there between, you know, coming from Terror and coming from going into Hatebreed?
A month. Because they were recording a record, Supremacy at the time.
Yeah.
And while they were in the studio, there was a house next to the studio in Massachusetts where they were recording with Zeus and Planet Z. And while they were in the studio recording, I would be with the studio engineer, well, not engineer, but our studio assistant that was there overseeing everything, Phil Caivano from Monster Magnet. I'd like to say hello to him, great guy. We'd be going, and you know, when he was in busy with the guys, I'd be learning the catalog.
Yeah.
While they were recording this record, because here we had to go to Australia and play with Korn. So I think we had a warm-up show in Connecticut, and we played a small club show where we did mostly old songs. That was my very first show with Hatebreed at the LNG in New London, Connecticut. And then from there we went overseas and we're doing shows with Europe, with Korn, and then right after that I think it was main stage of Ozfest. So it wasn't long, you know. I had to buckle down, and you know, it's funny looking back. And then you know, we have. We don't even use a set list. Jamie has a list on the drum riser with about 40 or 50 songs on it, and he shouts out whatever song he feels like playing next. We never know what the next song's going to be. So every day we're playing a different set list. So I think about that first show and how nervous I was, and you know, how to a T the set was and everything to what we do now. You know, I don't get nervous or anything. There could be 200,000 people out there, and it's just like opening up a cage and letting a bull out. You know what I mean? So. But thinking back to those times when I joined the band, it was a little nerve-wracking.
When you were coming from Terror, like, how big of the shows were those? Like,
with Terror?
Yeah.
Some were pretty big. I mean, like, Terror would do well, and you know, they would go to Europe and draw 500 to 1,000 people on their own. I mean, they had records out and toured all over. It wasn't like there was nobody at the shows, and that's really high energy Terror. So, you know, it's as far as the club shows, it's almost the same. But you know, it's at that point, you know, Terror hadn't really broke very huge in Europe yet, because they'd only been around a few years at that point. And obviously they've been to Australia and South America and all over the world now with that band, and they do very well. And they play a lot of the same festivals we do over there. So, you know, that club show that I did in Connecticut with Hatebreed, the first show, was comparable to like a big Terror show in LA where they're from. Yeah. You know, but then, you know, the next show I would be in an arena playing to people that weren't all Hatebreed fans. They were just there to see Korn. So, you know, but it's cool. It's all been fun, and to complain or you know, if it ended tomorrow, I always said that I went and saw the world. I played with some of my favorite bands in the world, and it's been a fun ride. But at the same breath, we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. You know, I mean, we've been doing it 22 years. I don't see why we wouldn't do it another 20 years.
Right. To kind of close out this interview, what is it, like, you know, maybe besides just the friendship, that makes you feel so comfortable in Hatebreed?
It's just what I do for a living now. I've accepted that this is what I do. You know, when I was a kid and I grew up in the 70s, I saw Kiss records, and there was no YouTube and anything like that back then, and I dreamed of that being that's what I would put on the Kiss records and have like a tennis racket, and I would put on Kiss concerts for like my family. I was like 7 years old, and like my friend would be playing the drums, he would be Peter Criss, and like this is the stuff you dream about when you're a kid. But even as I started to get a little bit older into my teens and started getting to heavier music and find like thrash metal and punk rock and hardcore and all that stuff, I even knew then that like playing in a band and making a living out of it was going to be a 1 in a million thing. Right. And I really was interested in becoming a chef, because I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up, because my parents were always screwed up. So I would watch her cook all the time. So that's what I wanted to do and get into. And I really thought that that's what I would do. And then here I am, however many years later, and I'm in the band doing this for a living, and I'm doing all the cooking at home when I'm not on tour. But I don't know. I mean, it's just this is what I do. I mean, that's what makes me comfortable. I'm in a bus with my friends. I spend probably more time with them than I do my own family. I definitely have since I joined the band. Right. You know, when we first started, when I was in the band, it would be nothing to do 300 shows a year. You know, and you could do the math on that. So it's like, you know, these are my guys. So I spend time with these guys. I have in the past 11 years in my own family. So.
Great. All right, man, it's been good talking with you.
I appreciate the interview. Thank you.
Definitely. Hope you have a good rest of the tour. Good set tonight.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll see. I don't know what Jamie's going to play, so I'm sure he'll gauge the crowd and see what they want to hear. Right. Maybe it'll be Hatebreed by request. We'll see. So.
Right.
But thank you.
All right, man. It's been good talking with you.
All right.
Yep. All right, it was great talking with Frank from Hatebreed. Definitely, you know, I had a lot of great stories to share. I could have talked with him for shoot, another hour. It was great. All right, let's get into the next interview. This was another one of those bands where I just kind of discovered during my research of the Warped Tour. Like there's always that sort of different band that's kind of more a poppy band that isn't as heavy or pop punk as the other ones. They're just more straight up like soulful pop music, and that's what I found with Jule Vera. So I was able to speak with Jake and Ansley from the band. So let's get to the interview with Jule Vera.
Good. How are you?
Cool. If you can introduce yourselves.
I'm Ansley.
I'm Jake.
And we're in Jule Vera.
Cool. This was a band that, like, when I was going through the Warped Tour lineup, I was just like, listening to all the bands that I wasn't aware of, and I came across Jule Vera, and I was like, yo, this is cool, man. I really like this. There's always like last year, there's always like that one band where it's like a little different than everything else. Like it's a little poppier, a little whatever, but it isn't like out there like mainstream poppy-ish. And that's what like yours was. Like last year it was like Against the Current. That was the one that I like figured out last year. This year it was Jule Vera, and I was just like, so I listened to the previous album, and I was like, yo, this is cool, man. Like I really dig this album. How did this band form? Why did this band form?
I met Jake at like a garage band camp, and he had a band with our bass player Will, and they met at school because like somebody was wearing a Ramones shirt, and they were like, oh cool, I like the Ramones. Like, so that's how they met, and then we started a band, and then we later met our drummer and our other guitar player Chase, and we just kind of like all like loved music and loved playing, so we kind of all started playing together.
How long did it take for everybody to sort of vibe well to where like, oh, we're finally making some cool music?
I don't know. What would you?
Well, Ansley and Will and I, like, we'd been together like since that like garage band camp thing and like stuff like that. So we'd been like working together and like writing together for a while, and we were like just couldn't like figure out. We went through like tons of drummers and like other guitar players and stuff, and like people trying to figure out like who, but nobody really wanted to do it with us until we found Kyle and Chase. And we just met them through a mutual friend. So like but like when we found them, we knew, like, we were like, wow, we finally we found the right fit. So, and that was about 2 years ago now. So.
How old was everybody when this band started? When you're doing the garage band camp thing?
I met him when I was 13. So that's when like we started playing together.
Yeah.
But Jule Vera is 4 years old.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Going into like the first album, the Friendly Enemies album, like, what was sort of like the mind state of the band when going into that album? What did you want to accomplish on that first album?
On like Friendly Enemies, we really just wanted to like get some music out there, because like that was our first stuff that we had done, and like Ansley was 15 when she recorded most of the vocals for like some of that stuff, and even though it didn't come out for a couple years, like it was just like that was our high school stuff that we were working on, and like figuring out how to be a band and like how to record and everything like that. And so we were really lucky to find a producer that was like willing to work with us and like teach us how to do this stuff.
Who did you work with on that album?
A guy named Mitch Parks in Atlanta, Georgia.
What did he like sort of bring to the table like during that time period?
A lot. Like he taught us how to like play on a click. Like he helped a lot of my like vocal stuff. Like I had never really like sang in chest voice or anything, and he kind of like pushed me to do that. It was like he like did a lot, like more than he was really supposed to. But like we're really thankful that he did, because it helped us a ton.
Yeah, he like helped us with our live show, and like just I don't know, he introduced us to everybody. Like we wouldn't be anywhere like without him. And we won a battle of the bands as our like first band, like our kind of cover band kind of thing, that we like had written a couple songs, and stuff back in 2011, I guess, is when we did this, and then we played that Battle of the Bands, and then he was one of the judges, and he was like, you know, we won that thing, and then he really liked the original song that we played, and it was just like, you know, call me if you ever want to make an album, and so we did, and that's how we got hooked up with him. But
What was it that you learned on that first record that you brought into on the second album, Waiting on the Sun?
Well, I mean, that was just, again, like, how we learned, like, everything. So, like, we just, a lot of our, like, influences and the things that we learned from that, you know, we brought into the new album with, like, and then, you know, we did it with Frequency, this producer in New York. We recorded it all in Brooklyn, and so, like, he had, you know, more, like, hip-hop kind of, like,
Yeah, he did like
more
Eminem
pop
and like
stuff.
Snoop Dogg, so he brought like a lot more different stuff than we would do to the table, and it was very like interesting, and I think it helped the sound a lot because we wouldn't have thought to do that.
Right.
Yeah, so it was really cool working with them too. So.
Yeah.
What do you think you were able to accomplish on this new record?
On this new one, like sound-wise, we played a lot with like instrumentation. Like they like, I don't know, they did a bunch of like funky stuff, like
Right.
just like messing around, and like if it sounds cool, like awesome, like put it on. But and then like lyric-wise, we just kind of wanted to be really like honest and real with our lyrics. So we wrote about like life experiences that we have been through. We just wanted people to be able to like relate to it, even if it's not the exact same experience we went through. That they're not the only person that is going through something, that they can like relate to our music and kind of like feel better.
Right. What's been the feedback thus far to both of your albums? You know, what sort of like things do you hear from your fans?
I mean, yeah. Well, some person just came up today, a girl, and said that like she'd just been listening to our music and it really helped her like through a lot of stuff, and so like that's always really cool to hear stuff like that. And it's like that's why we do it, you know.
Yeah, a lot of like the songs, a few different songs on our album, people have said have really helped them. Like I know Lifeline and Something Good, I think, are the two main ones that people say like make them feel better when they're like not feeling awesome, whatever. So yeah, that's always really cool.
Is Warped Tour like the first like major tour you guys have been on?
Well, we did Warped Tour in 2015, and that was our first tour.
Oh, okay.
And then we toured with Against the Current and Never Shout Never and As It Is, and now we're doing Warped again.
Okay, all right. How's been like, you know, those experiences going on these tours? You know, you guys are such, you know, still very young. You know, what are you guys learning?
I mean, you learn a lot when you're on tour. Like I think you learn something new every tour. But the first one we like had to learn it all really fast because like you can't just like, I don't know, you have to learn fast if it's your first tour, especially on Warped Tour, because it's more of a like difficult tour. Like it's not as easy as like some other tours, but
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. You know?
like they set it up every day, like it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know, like what would you, I mean, there's just like some tour etiquette that you like learn along the way, and like how to talk to people, and you get better stage wise and stuff. So
like a tour like Warped, it tries to, you know, they try to say this is something like a very communal effort. Has there been anybody on either of the Warped tours that you've been on, you know, bands that have been around for a while that's kind of helped you guys out, been very courteous to you guys? Anybody in specific?
Yeah, I mean, on last year we made a bunch of friends too, and then this year we've like specifically befriended Hands Like Houses and Our Last Night. I like what you said about the Warped Tour community is like so true. Like it's got a really good community. Like everybody talks to each other. Like nobody's like too good for you, you know. Like
Right.
it's just really like everybody's so cool on the tour.
Is there anything you've learned from these other bands while touring that, you know, it's definitely helped out the band itself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you pick up stuff like stage presence wise, or just like little things they do like at merch or something, like tip for a poster, like you'll get more tips. Just like little stuff like that, like you learn from just watching people. If you watch people that are better than you, you'll get better. So you definitely learn a lot on any tour.
Right. What do you think is like the scariest part about being a music artist, being in a band, traveling? whatnot. What do you think is the scariest part of that?
Scariest part of being in the band.
I guess
Or not making it, you know?
Not
Probably
people
just-
not liking it.
Yeah.
I guess, but I mean, there's always going to be people who don't like it.
Right.
But you know, like if nobody likes it, that's what I mean.
Has there been any thing that's happened, anybody you've met, any moment, any event that's happened in the band's history that's made it very clear, not even clear, just, you know, an optimism there that, you know, this is something that might be around for a while. This might work for us.
Yeah. I mean, in 2015, I met Haley Williams at the APMAs, and she said she'd heard of us, and I was like,
Ooh.
what?
How was that encounter?
It was weird. Like, it was backstage, and we were like, Haley, wait. And so, we just wanted to meet her.
Right.
And so she was like, I don't know, I guess we introduced ourselves. She was like, oh, yeah, I've heard of you guys, Jule Vera. And I was like, oh, my God. Yeah, it was, crazy. Because she's been, I loved Paramore when I was growing up. I mean, I still like them, but, I was, super fan when I was younger. So it was crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. What's been the most rewarding thing about being in this band?
Just getting people knowing that people are actually listening to it, and people come to the shows and know all the words, and
Yeah, seeing people singing the words in the crowd is great. And when they say it helped them through a hard time, that's why we do it. So that's cool.
Great. All right, it's been good talking with you. If anybody wants to find more information about the band, where would they go online?
We've got social media is all Jule Vera Music, and our website is julevera.com. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, good luck on the tour. Good luck
Thank
for your
you.
set today. It's been great talking with you.
Yeah, you too.
So that was my interview with Jule Vera. They have a new album out right now. It's called Waiting on the Sun. It's really great. Next up is Tony Foresta, the lead singer from the band Municipal Waste. Now, this was a really fun interview. This was the last interview that I did for the day, and we did it way out in the parking lots. So there's a lot of wind, and by that time, he had a few drinks in him, but it was super cool. And he kind of I feel like he tied the whole day together for me about what I thought about the Warped Tour. If I was gonna write the story of that day, he kind of put a bow in it and kind of wrapped it up in his own weird way. So let's get into the interview with Tony Foresta from the band Municipal Waste. 20 minutes into doing it.
Yeah.
I've been here since the morning, and I'm like, all right, I'm cool.
It's wild how many people show up so early to this.
Yeah, it's because it's a younger crowd, so and they don't a lot of those kids don't necessarily get to go to concerts,
Yeah.
because the all ages things is kind of here and there, so
Yeah.
they're excited for this type of shit.
No, it's a great opportunity.
Cool. All right.
Let me stand up. Is that weird?
If you want to stand up or anything.
I just know your back's fucked up.
Yeah, I don't even feel like sitting down. All right, introduce yourself.
My name's Tony. I sing for Municipal Waste.
Cool. You're on the Warped Tour right now. How's the tour been thus far?
It's amazing. I mean, we've been gone for over a month now. I think it's over 5 weeks. We left a week early before the tour started.
Yeah.
To get out west, because it started in Seattle. So it's been pretty wild. Getting to know everybody, and there's so many people. I mean, look around here. There's 100 buses. Our bus number is 80 in the 80s. I'm going to tell you what our number is. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of people that are a part of this thing. So it's almost like a traveling circus or some shit.
Right. Or as other people said in that interview, it's like a rock summer camp.
Absolutely, yeah. Summer camp for weirdos, which I never went to a summer camp before, so I'm getting all this in. And it's weird, man. It's we're hanging out with bands that if I saw their video or something, I'd be like, fuck that band. I don't ever want to. I'll be caught dead in one of their shirts, and now I'm like, those are my homies.
Right. Let's talk about that. Like, the Warp Tour always sort of values, camaraderie, the people from different walks of life coming together, having a fun time, unity. Kind of talk about that, meeting all these other bands that in all other walks of life, you guys probably are not going to be doing shows with or hanging out with.
No, like for us, we stick out like a sore thumb on this tour. We're the only, might be one of the few thrash bands that's ever been on this tour, but right. We still have a punk side to us, so that kind of gives us a weird advantage. We also have a good sense of humor, so we were able to be like, okay, we know you don't understand what's happening right now. This is what we're doing, and enjoy yourself. And right. If not, don't worry, you can go see 400 other bands. But so stepping into it, I'm 41. The guys in Adolescence are way older than me, and there's bands that are way younger than us. I've had bands that are way younger than us come up to me and be like, I feel old. I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck half these bands are. I don't get this music. There's so many weird bass drop and just stuff, music that I just don't understand, where I'm like, you damn kids. And I never thought I'd be like that. I thought I was pretty hip until I went on this tour. I thought I collect records. I get the new records that are out that I think are good and right. I like, and I still support music, that new music, and and then I come out here and I'm
where do these bands come from?
I'm a total dad. I have no idea.
You're where are these bands come from? Who are these? And there's bands that have the sea of fans, and you're like, where do those people come from?
It's I didn't know bands still ripped off Saves the Day. I didn't know that was a thing. They're rip off Saves the Day, but it'll have a bass drop in the middle of the song, and then a mosh part, and then they'll rap at you. You're like, wow, they're mixing everything together. I can't believe it. But not even dissing the bands on the tour. It's there's a lot of good shit. There's shit I've never thought I would like that I'm digging, and
right.
Of course, there's also the older bands that influenced me. They're out here too, Adolescence, Sick of It All, Speak of the Devil. Yeah, Armand's walking by right now. But yeah, it's cool to see all that stuff too and be a part of.
Yeah, Gwar's out here too.
Of course, yeah. This is the 47th time Municipal Waste tour with Gwar. So. Right. We even know they were on the tour. Oh, fuck, all right, Gwar's here. All right, shit, I guess we're on tour with Gwar again. But those are our friends, That's great too. There's also Valiant Thor, War on Women. They're from Baltimore, and there's a lot of friendly faces that we've actually traveled with together, toured with, or just fucking know, So we came into it already pretty comfortable, and now we're getting our wings to where we're starting to mingle around and start fucking around with all the other young. I just hugged some Australian guy I met today that was in some emo band. I don't even know, but everybody's whatever. Yeah. They're having a good time.
It's all good, man.
It's cool. It's a very eclectic experience. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I've also lost 10 pounds from walking every day. You just walk 30 minutes to meet me, or it's on the other side of this damn stadium.
Right.
It's a lot of shit, man. A lot of walking.
But everybody's always, excited when, when Municipal Waste is on a bill, man. People are excited to see you guys.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's because we used to overdo it a lot. We used to do every tour. We toured we were doing 200 shows a year for 8 years or something. And we just kind of did that last record and hit the brakes. So I think now everybody kind of misses us, and they're like, all right, these guys are back. All right, we got a new record out. People were actually stoked on the record. And
yeah, let's talk about the new record, man. How's the feedback been?
It's way better than I thought it was going to be. Waste has weird fans. They're very dedicated, which I love.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing in the world. They're also very opinionated, and they'll definitely tell us if we do something that sucks. So every album we've had, they're always it's not as good as the last record. It's always not as good as the last record. This is the first time I've seen just a genuine full-on positive response.
Like, this is dope. This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of the reason why it took so long to do a record last time or this past time, because maybe we were like disenfranchised because everybody was like, oh, we're not going to please everyone. We're never going to please everyone. But like, I don't know. The reception was like so cool. Like
going into
there's a lot of love now.
Yeah, going into making this record, you know, what were you guys thinking about? Like when you first started, you know, writing stuff. Like what you wanted to do?
We got to
with
get this damn thing done, honestly. but that was years ago, and then we didn't like it, and we basically trashed a full album. We wrote a record, and we're like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
And I don't think our fans deserve a shitty record. I don't want to be one of those bands that puts out shitty records when they get older. I'd rather take time and do well. Like, I'll just give an example of a band that has nothing to do with metal, but Dillinger 4. They take forever to write an album, but it's always fucking good, and it's worth the wait. And you get it, and you're fucking there, you know? Instead of just, like, doing that, where, like I said, where it's like, oh, we got to get the damn thing done, you know? It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to get the damn thing done. You need to put out a good record. You need to write a good record. And that's, at first, that's how we were thinking, like, oh, we got to get this done. And we're like, fuck this. It's not good. None of us are going to settle for a shitty record, you know?
Right.
Even you think it's shitty, at least as long as we're happy with it, then that's cool with us, you know? And we don't want to let our fans down or anything like that, but you know, we definitely know if it's going to suck, like, to us. So that's like, and that's how it was looking, and you know,
like,
so we didn't want to do that. You know, yeah, we scrapped it, and we took the best elements from that record, and then came up with a bunch of other shit. Got a new guitar player in the mix, and started having fun again. And that's another real important thing that we needed to do.
How long has this band been around?
15 years.
All right, 15 years.
Yeah, so we're doing that. We're up on the 10-year anniversary of Art of Partying, which is our third record.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do Art of Partying show.
Okay.
We don't know when yet, but we'll play the whole album. We did that last year with Hazardous Mutations. So.
Looking back, like, to those early years when the band first started, like, what sticks out in your mind?
A lot of stuff doesn't stick out. There's a lot of blurred memories. There was definitely a lot of lawlessness and debauchery and just really didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just like, what up? It wasn't just like, we just really didn't give a shit. We didn't care if we made money. We didn't give a fuck if we made it to the next show. We canceled shows all the time. We thought it was funny. So we're not gonna make it. I'm hungover. Shit like that. And then it's like something changed where, like, once we signed to Earache and all, we kind of were like, and Dave joined the band. There was a kind of general consensus where you need to respect your fans, because people actually are your people actually like your band and are paying money to see your band and buying your records, and that didn't really sink into us until we put out the second record, and then that's when it all started kind of like changing, and we started realizing that you have to show up on time, and you can't like punch a security guard, and you can't like we can, but there will be repercussions.
Do you think that second record was around the time when you guys felt like this thing could be something you could do for a long time?
The second record was a revenge record. The second record was when everybody gave up on us and thought we couldn't really do a record.
Yeah.
They thought everyone lost faith in us, and kind of like, so it's weird because everybody was kind of like, oh, they sold out, they signed a record deal. To us, that was like, fuck you, just watch us. And it was like, that's my favorite record. I'm very proud of that record because we overcame a lot of weird internal struggles and just kind of put our place in the scene where we are now. You know, like, we kind of put our foot down and let people know that we weren't just a bunch of drunk morons. We were drunk morons that wrote a good record.
Hell yeah. What was sort of the feedback of that record?
That one was good. It was slow. It was slow because nobody knew the fuck we were. We weren't really touring the way we do now.
Right.
And then what happened was we never did a video. We did a video, but it was all right. And then Earache kind of saw the potential and what was happening, and then kind of was like, we're gonna reissue the record like 6 months later, and then they gave us like a big budget for a video.
Yeah.
And then we did the Sadistic Magician video, and once that dropped, and then there was like a couple live performances, just people, it was kind of like right when YouTube started, like, things started going viral and shit, and there was like a YouTube video that like exploded the same time as the video, and then it was just this snowball of people started being aware, and then we dropped Art of Partying, and that was just kind of like how it just kind of crashed in our face. It was funny, like, that's the whole MySpace era too. So when we dropped our first song of Art of Partying right when all that shit was going on, and we were sitting in my friend's house in Amsterdam. We were high as shit too, and we would like refresh the MySpace page, and every time we refresh it, it would like thousands of listens. Like, it was such a weird feeling being like this broke kid sitting in this like apartment in Amsterdam and literally just like clicking a button and witnessing thousands upon thousands of people listening to your shit like that second. Right. It was a weird experience. Like, it was very rewarding and weird for us.
Do you think that your live show and the fact that it like went viral online contributed to your success?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. We're a live band.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. We work hard on our music and recording and everything, but live it's a totally different ballgame, and we pride ourselves on that because that's how we started. We right off the bat, we got in the van. First, we were on tour a week after our first show. Like, you know what I mean? So like, that's just how we've always been. So yeah, I mean, that's
what was everybody doing before like this band, started?
Oh man, well, it was different members. It really just depends which era. Me and Whitty were working at a t-shirt place. Of course, Dave Whitty was in a million other bands before Municipal Waste. He was in Burned by the Sun. Actually, when he joined Municipal Waste, Burned by the Sun was like still pretty prominent.
Yeah.
And he was kind of doing us a favor when he joined the band. But yeah, I mean, we were screen printing shirts, and Ryan was a cook at a strip club. And yeah. And what else was Phil doing? I think Phil worked at a sign shop and was playing in like death metal bands and shit. And yeah, I mean, we were all just like local fucking band kids. And then shit just started happening. Local band shitheads working at the screen printing shop. Normal shit.
What do you think was the first like sort of holy shit moment of the band from your perspective? Where it's like, I can't believe like this is happening.
Probably the same tour. One of the first times we went out to Europe. For me, I think very memorable is we played Vakken, and we put up our shirts, and by the time we walked back to where the stage was, all our shit was sold out. Like everything we brought in.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, what the fuck? Then we played, and it was absolute insanity. That was crazy. Same tour, we played in England, opened for Sick of It All in London, and there was like 2,000 people there. We're just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? The last time we were in Europe, there was like 10 people at our London show. Our drummer was so drunk he fell off the drums while he was playing the song. And here we are, like there's 2,000 people here. I don't know. It's humbling, and we just never expected it, and we would probably still be out here playing house shows. I wouldn't be on a tour that's 9 weeks long, but I would be out here playing house shows. I definitely wouldn't be in the fucking bandwagon with my own bunk to sleep in, which is nice.
Yeah. We'll be in a tour bus, having tour bus.
But I love that shit, dude. That's why I do my other band, Iron Reagan, like, because I have that fix, you want to sleep in a van, you want to sleep on floors. That's what I grew up doing. I love punk shows. bands and making friendships with people that are into the same shit as you. That's why you play music, you know. So you do this big shit, and then you go do your other band, and you fucking play houses. It's great life.
How's things going with the other band?
Awesome, yeah. That band's fucking playing Ozfest now. God damn it. I'm just gonna start doing acoustic shows so they know it'll suck. Everybody knows it'll really suck. I play houses for the rest of my life.
Right. Like
no, but yeah, it's going really good. Yeah, Ozfest and come doing a couple short tours, and yeah, the new Iron Ring did a record earlier this year. It did really well. So
that's awesome.
We had a split with Gate Creeper coming out.
Sweet.
So yeah, it's both bands are actually way too busy for me. I'm like, you want to get like a fill-in singer? Is that cool? I kind of want to just stay home and watch Netflix for like a couple weeks. It's just a lot of shit going on.
Right. All right, man. That's about it, man. Thanks for taking the time out to chat
Thank
with
you
me.
so much.
Yeah. Have a great rest of the tour.
Yeah,
man.
thanks for being into this shit, man. I'm glad you know about the bands and are interested.
Okay, the final interview I'm going to bring to you on this special bonus edition of Fresh is the Word from the Warped Tour is my interview with Kevin and Tom from the deathcore band Acacia Strain. Now, I definitely love their new album, which is called Grave Bloom. It came out just probably a month ago via Rise Records, so definitely go and cop that. Had a good talk with the two guys. So let's get into that interview with the Acacia Strain. Yeah, how's Warped Tour been thus far for you guys?
I'm digging it. It's been hot and exhausting, but these are some of the coolest shows I've ever played, so I'm enjoying it, and then hanging out with my friends the rest of the day and watching their bands, so I'm gonna do it.
What were you doing before joining this band?
Well, I was for a number of years working at the studio that these guys were recording at for a few years, so that's how I got in with them and became friends with them. I was working for Will Putney as a producer.
Okay, yeah.
And then I just decided records weren't what I wanted to do, so ended up working out where I had left working at the studio the same time they needed a new guitar player, so it just kind of worked out.
How did those initial conversations happen to, where you joined the band?
Well, I was texting Devin, other guitar player, and he was the only person in the industry that I had told that I was leaving working the studio, and he was like, oh, well, that's ironic because Richie just quit 3 days ago and you know all of our stuff, so you want to play with us? So it just worked out where I was filling in for a little bit, and then after a tour and a half, joined the band, got asked to be full-time.
Great.
Yeah.
How's he been since he joined the band? Is he a troublemaker?
It's been absolutely terrible.
Awful, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to leave him here.
It's a pleasure having Tommy Boy in the band. It's great.
What does he bring to the band?
Very tight playing live.
Yeah.
If something were to happen, like yesterday, something happened with his pedal board, and there was these different patches were coming up, and you can see him freaking out over there. But he fixed it quick.
Okay.
Came back in, nothing happened. It was great. But other members of this band, they would have literally just given up and walked off the stage because it's happened before.
Right.
But yeah, Tom knows how to deal with his stuff. He knows how to make himself sound good. You know,
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Got me cheesing over here.
Oh, buddy.
Well, since he joined the band, seems like he has, had this technical nature in his background. Has that helped any within just the total thing of the band?
Technical as in how,
like working in studios and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. He, like I was saying, he knows how to get stuff done. He knows how to make himself sound good and do all the little twistings of the knobs and all that stuff. He actually can help. Our bass player Griffin, he's also an engineer, studio engineer. He has his own studio in Des Moines.
Yeah.
So he's very well versed in making things sound good. And Devin kind of does have some questions here and there sometimes, and it's nice to have someone in the band that can help him and not have to go to somebody else.
Right.
The
new you got a new album out. What was sort of the the mood of the band, thought process going into this record about what you wanted to do with it?
We wanted it to be moody and angry and depressing and sad like every other record pretty much, but this one more so, a little more, you definitely get more feelings out of this one when you listen to it. There's a lot of songs that take you places, like I like to say. yeah, the whole overall mood is, I mean, we were home for a long time before we did it. We wrote some of it on the road too, on one of the. It wasn't a terrible tour, but it was a very annoying and got us a little sad. About wondering why we were still doing this kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of anger, depression that went into that record for sure.
Right. How do you deal with those times when you're like, fuck it, let's quit?
You just keep going. You just hope that the next day is gonna be better. And sometimes they are, and sometimes the next day is worse, and you're like son of a bitch. But yeah, honestly, you just keep going because you never know what's gonna happen.
With the way the sort of, music industry is, especially for rock and heavier music, how do you guys feel like you set yourselves apart from other bands when, there's so, you got to do more, you got to tour more, you got to think of different sort of merch ideas, whatnot. How do you feel like you guys, differentiate yourself from other bands?
Honestly, I feel like with everything, we always just go with the flow. We never try to focus on something to change it or make it better. It's just the way things go, that's just how it goes. We never try too hard, I guess.
I think from me starting as the outsider and then joining and playing with other bands, me realizing how, maybe it sounds bad to say, but this band doesn't really care about a lot of things, but I think that's the benefit of it. A lot of bands are more focused on what can we do to fit this trend, or what can we hop on with this gimmick, whereas this band, it's whatever, we're just gonna do what we want to do. And that's how I feel how it always was, obviously before me, but now that I'm in it, I can see that firsthand. Nobody cares, we just want to do what's fun for us and what
we wrote
we
music. We're gonna go on stage, we're gonna play it, and we're gonna get the hell out of there and let the next band come up and play it. That's why we're here. We're not here to try to sell something to somebody. We're not up there preaching about anything. It's just play our music or go away.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's a growing, trend with a lot of bands. Is they're kind of waking up and being fuck these trends or whatever, man. Fuck what everybody else is doing. Let's just do what we want to do and be happy. Do you feel like you guys are just happy with everything that you do?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, we won't just settle on something. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, this last record, I'm very, very happy with how that came out. The way the songs came out, the way they flow and everything like that. So, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the way things are going at the moment.
Right. With you being in the band, for a very long time, since, towards the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
What's your, when you look back at that time when, the band was still coming up and everything, what sort of sticks out in your mind?
Oh, boy. Actually, well, now that we've been touring for so long, going on tour, it's it's like our job now.
Yeah.
Back then, it was no holds barred, free reign, everybody just fucking off and having fun, doing whatever the hell they wanted, getting paid $100 at the end of a tour, and you're like, oh my god, I just got paid $100 after being gone for 3 months. This is so sick. Those times where it's you get paid gas money from the promoter because nobody came to the show,
Right.
Those times, and then we didn't even care. We were like, fuck it, we're on tour. We're gonna go somewhere else now and play in front of nobody in this next city, but who cares? We're having fun. We're traveling around, seeing all this new stuff for the first time. So I feel like that feeling of discovering everything is I don't have that anymore. So that's the one thing I miss the most, for sure.
Right. When did was there a point in time of this band where you, maybe an event, something that happened, somebody you met, something that happened where, you realize, okay, this could be a thing that we could do for a while?
I can't pinpoint a specific time, but there was definitely a couple tours we did in those early years that were you start seeing more and more people singing along, and you're there's spots where it's Vincent will stop singing and let the crowd do it, and everybody's singing the words, and you're like, whoa, what the hell just happened? And then I think it was the first time we ever did a real headliner, and we went into it fingers crossed, let's hope this works out, and it did.
Right.
And it was pretty awesome. We all were very proud of ourselves, holy shit, this could actually keep going. And then down the year, you know, that was what? That was probably 2007 or 8. So, you know, almost 10 years ago.
Right.
So, and we're still here. So.
Right. You know, what did you guys do? You know, personally as a band to sort of break out of like that early locale that you were in, those first, you know, local cities that you're doing to, you know, get out there and be something.
Our manager at the time, Scott Lee, was definitely the main reason why that happened. He just busted his ass getting us shows everywhere, you know, calling people he knew to get us on tours that were getting booked and all this kind of stuff. So all the credit for that definitely goes to Scott Lee. He's the one that pushed us very, very, very hard in the early years.
Who produced the new record?
Will Putney.
Okay, great. Yeah, there's been a lot of like everybody says great things about him. You know,
yeah.
How was it working with him?
Oh, it's awesome. Very easy, especially when Tom was working there. It's, you know, it's a good environment to go to. It's just got that vibe where you just want to just play music all day.
Right. You know, what did he bring to the table to, you know, get the best out of you guys for this record?
For me personally, there was just like a lot of times where I would like do a take and he'd be like, you could definitely do way better than that in this one. So I'll do another take and be like, all right, that was good, but this one thing you did, how about you try doing it the same way you did it the first time, but just do it better. I'm like, okay. But I mean, that's how you get the best performances out, you know? You just gotta, I mean, like for instance, like when first record I did with the band Deadwalk, like with Adam D, like he was definitely, I think, the most fun person to work with because he would joke about how you didn't do it very well. Because the way the room was, I'd be playing and there was a window set off to the side.
Right.
And where his desk was, you couldn't see him, but he would have to like lean back in his chair. And I would do a whole take, and I think I nailed it. Do a whole song, feel like I was like, that was the one. And he hears him at the button, first turn his mic on, he'd be like, nope. I'm like, what do you mean nope? He's like, do it again, and he would just instantly hit the space bar and the click track would start going. I'm like, son of a bitch. And just like, just keep going till you get it just, you know, perfect.
Right. Was that the first time you guys worked with Will for an album?
No, we did our Above and Below 2-song 7-inch.
Okay.
With Will, that was the first thing, and that was actually.
That was the first thing I ever worked on there, so that was pretty cool.
Edited my drums, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, first time was Above and Below, and then Coma Witch, and then we did that Depression Sessions split with Thyroid's Murder and Fit for an Autopsy.
Okay.
Will did that also, and then now, Grey Blue.
All right. You know, when you go from, you know, project to project to project, you know, what is it that you're still learning? You know, what did you learn on this new album? You know, working with Will, you know, having a new member in the band, you know, what do you think the band learned during this time around?
Well, I think for this record, like I wouldn't say we rushed the writing process, but there was not much time to write the record. So I think from this one, like there's already been like not full songs, but like a bunch of riffs already like written for, you know, a new record that'll probably come out like in a couple of years or something like that. But definitely not gonna just like wait, you know, 3 months before we're supposed to go in the studio and be like, all right guys, we have 10 songs to write, let's go. So yeah, we're definitely gonna not take our time, but pace ourselves the proper way, get songs done that way.
Right.
And then we'll have more time to work on them too, because there's times like there's songs on Grey Bloom that I listen to and I'm like, damn, if we just took a little more time on that, I could have thought of something else to do there, or like we could have added something or taken something away, or you know, that happens with every record though.
What do you guys do to pass time by when you're on tour?
Sit at our trailer underneath a tent on our phones, talking to only us.
Just texting each other. Like.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we just sit up back our trailer, listen to music. Me and Griffin have beers. They just sit there and drink Polar Seltzer all day.
Yeah. We hang out with like the same 3 bands every day, pretty much. It's pretty much like Acacia Strain, Counterparts, Knock Loose, Silent Planet, and Fit for a King. It's just like always at our trailer, just hanging around, sitting there, quietly speaking, trying to relax and be away from loud all day.
Right. Oh, what kind of music do you listen to when you're just like chilling?
A Lately, I've been like me and Vincent, especially, have been on a huge Supertramp kick.
Okay.
Like that record, Breakfast in America.
Okay.
That's like my nightly going to sleep record.
Okay.
The new Lord record's pretty sweet.
That's a jam for sure. Paramore.
New Paramore is just so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Catch myself always doing October Rust, Typo Negative. That's like always a go-to for me, no matter what. Even if I'm like sick of hearing metal all day, I'm just like, I can still listen to this album every day.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's next for the band? You know, after all this touring, where are you guys going next?
I can't talk about stuff like that just yet.
Still in the works, so.
Still classified.
Yeah.
Classified information.
Yeah. It'll be cool though. Whenever we can talk about it, it'll be cool.
All right, great. It's been It's been great talking with you guys. You know, if anybody wants to find out more information about you guys, where can they find that stuff online?
Our Facebook's definitely the best place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. It's been good talking with you guys.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So that was my interview with Kevin and Tom from the Acacia Strain. It was awesome to speak with them. So that's about it for this super special Warp Tour bonus episode of Fresh is the Word. There's 2 more interviews that I didn't include in this episode. One is with Carly Coma from the band Candiria, and the other is with Layla Khan from the band Sonic Boom 6. I wanted to leave those ones out of this episode and do standalone episodes of Fresh is the Word with them because those 2 interviews were really good for their own obvious reasons. I've already interviewed Carly Coma before for this podcast, and we talked a lot about MMA. Guess what? Guess what we did this time at the Warped Tour? We talked about MMA. So I definitely want to just kind of put that one to the side and drop that as an episode on its own. And then Layla Khan, the lead vocalist, rapper, whatever, from Sonic Boom 6, she was the most delightful person I've ever interviewed. And we actually got into a lot of really, really dope, meaningful conversations, like about topics and stuff like that during our interview. And it went pretty long. You know, she gave me a lot of time, the Warped Tour, to talk with her about things. So I wanted that to kind of be on its own episode. And plus, I really like the band, so I really want to highlight that, that band, that episode, her, on its own episode, because it was so perfect. And now me and her are friends. We're buds. She has just like the warmest heart. She's just a delight. I'm just gushing over her right now. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. All right, cool. So thanks for listening to this super special bonus episode of Fresh is the Word with my coverage from the Warped Tour. Goodbye and good night.
Fresh is the word.